My beloved, the road you have been traveling, the one so familiar to your feet, has come to an abrupt and final end. Behind you lies the well-worn path of your past, every victory, every sorrow, every hope that defined your journey. Before you, there's nothing, only empty air. You're standing on the edge of a great cliff, a precipice at the end of everything you have ever known. The story you were living has concluded. The chapter has been closed, and the book, it seems, has been cast aside. This is the end of a season, the end of a dream, the end of an identity, the person you were, the life you had, the future you so carefully planned. It has all crumbled away, leaving you here, stranded. At this terrifying edge, you look back at the rubble of the path that brought you here, and your heart aches with a grief so profound it steals the breath from your lungs. You look down into the vast, silent canyon below, and a vertigo of fear grips your soul. The voices have already rendered their verdict. The world looks at your position and whispers, it's over for them. They've reached a dead end. They have failed. And your own heart, battered and bruised, agrees. You feel the finality of this place. You feel the paralysis of the precipice. You believe you have been led to your own execution, but I have not brought you here to this high and lonely place to watch you fall. I have brought you here to teach you how to fly. You stand at the edge of what you believe to be your end, looking down into the abyss of your loss. But I'm here beside you now, and I'm asking you to do the one thing you have been too afraid to do. I am asking you to lift your eyes, for you have been so focused on the road that is behind you and the drop that is below you. You have not yet seen the magnificent new world that I'm spreading out before you. You have been so consumed by the grief of your ending that you have not yet felt the thrill of your beginning. My beloved child, you are not at a cliff of termination. You are on the precipice of a new beginning. This is not an execution. It is a vantage point. To understand this, we must first honor the place where you stand. I do not belittle your grief. The loss is real. The pain is valid. Let us speak of the road that has ended, for it held so much of your life. You are mourning the old, familiar path. It was a life you knew. It may not have been perfect. It may have had its own pains and struggles, but it was known. It was familiar. Your feet knew its rhythms, its twists and turns. There was a comfort in its predictability, even if it was a comfort that kept you small. To have that path suddenly crumble into nothingness is a trauma. You have lost your sense of direction, your spiritual and emotional orientation. You feel like a traveler whose map has been burned, whose compass has been shattered. It is right to grieve this loss of the known. You are mourning the identity that was tied to that path. So much of who you believed you were was defined by that road you were on. You were a wife, and now the road of that marriage has ended. You were a successful professional, and now the road of that career has come to a dead end. You were a healthy person, and now the road of your physical strength has disappeared. The end of a path feels like the end of a self. You look in the mirror, and you don't recognize the person staring back at you. The grief you feel is not just for a lost circumstance. It is for a lost self. And this is a profound and holy grief, and you are carrying the trauma of the crumbling. For most, the path did not gently fade away, it collapsed. It was a sudden betrayal, a shocking diagnosis, a brutal failure. The end did not come peacefully. It came with violence, with a wrenching and a tearing. And so you stand at this precipice, not just with grief, but with shock. Your soul is still vibrating from the earthquake that destroyed your world. You have not yet had time to process the why or the how. You are simply standing in the aftershock, trembling. I see it all, my child. I honor it all. I am not asking you to deny your pain. I am here to sit with you in it. But I'm also here to tell you that your pain, as real as it is not the truest thing about this moment. Now let us speak of the terror you feel as you stand here. Let us name the fears that paralyze you at this precipice. There is the fear of falling. You look down, and all you can see is the jagged rocks below. This is the fear of utter ruin, of complete collapse. It is a fear of homelessness, of sickness, of being left with nothing. It is the fear of hitting rock bottom, a place from which you believe you could never recover. This fear holds you frozen, terrified to make a move, lest it be the one that sends you tumbling into the abyss. There's a fear of the unknown. The path behind you is gone, and the space before you is empty air. It is a vacuum, and the human soul abhors a vacuum. Your mind races to fill the void with terrifying possibilities, because an imagined terror feels safer than no map at all. You have no plan. You have no 5-year vision. You do not know what tomorrow holds, let alone the rest of your life. This fear of the unknown is a form of spiritual vertigo, a dizziness that comes from having no point of reference, no ground beneath your feet. And there is the deepest fear of all the fear of being stuck. This is the terror that this precipice is your final destination, that you will live out the rest of your days here, in this paralyzed state of grief and fear, unable to go back and too afraid to go forward. This is the fear of a life permanently paused, a story that ends on a cliffhanger with no resolution. This is the fear that this present pain will become your forever reality. These fears are powerful. They are logical from a human perspective. Your position is indeed terrifying, but you are not limited to a human perspective, for I am with you, and I am here to give you my perspective. I am here to reframe the very ground on which you stand. You see this precipice as a place of failure. I see it as a place of my divine and merciful intervention. The old road you were on, the one you are grieving, it was not leading you to the place I have prepared for you. It was a comfortable detour, a scenic route that was ultimately a dead end. It was too small for your destiny. It was too confining for your spirit. I could not have built the glorious kingdom I have for you on that narrow, winding path. And so, in my great love for you, I had to bring it to an end. The crumbling of your old path was not my punishment. It was my rescue. I did not lead you into a trap. I have led you out of one. You see this precipice as a place of confusion. I see it as a place of profound clarity for the first time. You are standing high enough to see things as they truly are. From this vantage point, you can look back at the winding road of your past, and for the first time, you can see the patterns. You can see how that painful detour was actually me steering you away from a hidden danger. You can see how that frustrating delay was me waiting for the perfect timing. When you were down in the valleys of your past, you could only see the next few feet in front of you, but from this high precipice, you can see the whole journey. This cliff is not just the end of a road. It is a watchtower from which you can finally begin to understand the wisdom of my guidance. And most importantly, you see this precipice as the end of all views. I see it as the only place from which you can see the new beginning, the new land I have for you, the new chapter I am about to write. Is so vast, so different, so much more glorious than your old life that it would have been completely invisible from your old, low-lying path. You had to be brought up high. You had to be brought to this terrifying, exhilarating edge. It is the only vantage point in all of your life from which you could see the sunrise of your new destiny. Look now, my child, I'm asking you to do what you have not yet done. Stop looking down at the fall you fear. Stop looking back at the road you have lost. Turn your face forward and look. Look out. See with my eyes. I am parting the mist. I am pushing back the clouds of your fear. And I am revealing to you the view from your precipice. Before you is a new world. A world you never knew existed. It is a land of wide open spaces, a land of breathtaking beauty. See the mountains of new opportunity in the distance. See the rivers of my grace that flow through the valleys. See the fertile fields that are waiting for the seeds of your unique gifts. This is not an empty void. This is a land of promise. This is the future I have been preparing for you all along. The old road was familiar, but it was confining. This new land is unknown, but it is expansive. The old road was predictable, but it was small. This new land is challenging, but it is glorious. For this moment, this is all I ask of you. I do not ask you to jump. I do not ask you to have all the answers. I do not ask you to be fearless. I simply ask you to change your gaze, to stand here with me, your faithful guide, on this holy ground that you have mistaken for a place of execution. It is not. It is your launching pad. It is the precipice of your promise. Stand here with me, and let us watch the sun rise together over your new beginning. You are standing with me on the precipice, and your gaze is beginning to shift. The terrifying abyss of your loss is slowly giving way to the breathtaking vista of your new beginning. Hope, a feeling you thought was lost to you forever, is beginning to send a tender green shoot up through the barren ground of your heart. You are starting to believe that this ending may not be the final word. But I know that even as you look forward to the new sunrise, your heart is still tethered to the old, familiar road that lies in ruins behind you. The grief is still potent, and a painful question echoes in your soul, a question that must be answered before you can truly be free to move forward. You look at the rubble of your past and you ask me, my Lord, I'm willing to hope for this new land. But why did the old path have to end so violently? Why the earthquake? Why the collapse? Couldn't you have simply let it fade away gently? Why did it have to hurt so much? This is the question of the nature of endings, and it is a question born of deep pain. Your heart longs for a story where every chapter flows seamlessly into the next. But some chapters, my child, cannot be allowed to fade away. They must be decisively and definitively concluded. The ending you experience, as painful as it was not an accident. It was not a sign of my failure or your own. It was a deliberate, necessary, profoundly merciful act of my love. I did not allow your old path to end. I, in my sovereign love, ended it myself. And I did it for reasons you are now ready to understand. First, you must know that the old path was too small for your destiny. The road you were on, the life you were living, was a good road. It was comfortable. It was predictable. But it was a narrow, winding country lane. And I have created you to be a magnificent 8-lane superhighway that will carry the traffic of my glory to the nations. Your old dream was a beautiful, cozy cottage. But I am in the business of building you a kingdom. You could have lived out your entire life in that cottage, and it would have been a pleasant life, but it would have been a shadow of the life I have destined for you. You would have been safe, but you would have been small, and in my great, restless, and ambitious love for you, I cannot bear for you to live a life that is less than the one I have dreamed for you. So I looked at the smallness of your path, and I saw that it was becoming a cage, a beautiful cage. Perhaps, but a cage nonetheless. And you would not have left it on your own. It was too comfortable. And so, with a heart that ached with love for you and for the greater destiny I had for you, I had to break the cage. The collapse of your old life was me, the loving liberator, setting you free from a future that was too small for your soul. You have been grieving the loss of your cage, not knowing that I have been clearing the ground for your castle. Next, you must understand that the old path was leading to a hidden danger. You could only see the next few feet of the road, and from your perspective, it looked safe and pleasant. But I, who stand outside of time, could see the entire map. I could see the place, a few miles ahead, where your comfortable road took a sudden, sharp turn and went over a cliff you could not yet see. That career you were in, the one that felt so secure, I saw the subtle but deadly compromise that it would have demanded of you in the next season. A compromise that would have slowly poisoned your integrity. That relationship that felt so right, I saw the hidden brokenness, the subtle idolatry that was taking root. That would have eventually led you away from me, your true source of life. That belief system, that way of living that seemed so stable, I saw that its foundations were flawed and that it could not have withstood the storms that I knew were coming in your future. And so, I was faced with a divine choice. Do I allow you to continue walking down a pleasant path that I know leads to your ultimate destruction? Or do I, in my severe mercy, cause a landslide, a rockfall, to block the path now, causing you a temporary, though intense, pain, in order to save you from a far greater, eternal pain? Later on, I chose the landslide. The painful ending you experienced was my divine roadblock. It was a rescue mission disguised as a tragedy. You have been weeping at the very sight of your deliverance, cursing the rockfall that has, in fact, saved your life. Furthermore, the old path was built on a faulty foundation, So much of the life you were living, as good as it may have seemed, was built on something other than me. It was built on your own strength, on your own talent, on your own carefully constructed plans. Or it was built on the approval of others, on a relationship, on your identity as a spouse or a parent or professional. These are not bad things, but they are faulty foundations. They're sand, and I, the wise master builder, will not, I cannot, build the eternal structure of your destiny on a foundation of sand. I knew that the glorious skyscraper of your true calling would come crashing down if it were built upon the shifting sands of your self-reliance or the approval of men. And so, with a loving and heavy heart, I had to allow the earthquake. I had to allow the storm that would wash away the sand. The collapse of your old life was a divine and necessary demolition. I had to tear down the beautiful house that was built on a cracked foundation. It was painful. It left you feeling homeless and exposed. But I had to clear the ground. I had to get you down to the bedrock, the unshakable reality of who I am for you and who you are in me. The grief and the emptiness you feel right now is the feeling of a cleared construction site. It looks desolate. It looks like destruction, but to a builder, it is the most exciting sight in the world. It is a sign that the true building can now begin. You have been mourning the demolition of the condemned building. I have been celebrating the preparation of the ground for your new temple. And finally, my child, I must speak to your heart with a loving honesty. I brought the old path to such a decisive and painful end because you would not have left it willingly. The pull of the familiar, the comfort of the known, is the most powerful anesthetic to the human soul. You were comfortable. You were content. And your contentment was becoming the greatest enemy of your high calling. I whispered to you, calling you to a deeper walk, to a greater adventure. But your ears were deafened by the pleasant sounds of your comfortable life. I tried to nudge you in a new direction, but you were too settled, too invested in the path you were on. And so, in what can only be described as an act of fierce, jealous, and wonderful love, I had to do what you would not do for yourself. I had to make the old path uninhabitable. I had to burn the ship so that you could not retreat. I had to shatter the cage. It felt violent. It felt cruel. It felt like an abandonment, but it was, in fact, the most profound act of my belief in you. It was me saying, I love you too much to let you settle for this. I see the king, the queen, the giant slayer within you, and I will not allow you to live out your days as a comfortable peasant. It is time for you to ascend to your throne, and this is the only way to get you there. Think of me as the divine gardener. You were a vine, producing some good fruit, but I, who know your potential, knew you could produce so much more. And so I came to you with my pruning shears. I made deep, painful, and seemingly brutal cuts. I cut off the branch of that relationship. I cut off the branch of that career. You looked at the branches on the ground, bleeding sap, and you thought I was killing you. But I was pruning you. I was cutting away the old growth so that new, more fruitful branches could spring forth. The pain of the pruning is temporary, but the glory of the future harvest will be eternal. Or think of me as the divine alchemist. You were a caterpillar, safe and content in your chrysalis. But the purpose of a caterpillar is not to remain in the chrysalis forever. To do so is to die. The very structure that was meant for your transformation would have become your tomb. And so, I had to allow the struggle. I had to allow the painful, claustrophobic process of the chrysalis being broken, so that you, the butterfly, could emerge. The end of your old life was the shattering of your chrysalis. You have been grieving the loss of your safe, dark prison, not yet realizing that I have just given you your wings. So look back now, my beloved, at the end of the old road. Look back at the rubble and the ruin, and I invite you to see it in a new light. Do not see it with shame or regret. I'm asking you to see it with a strange and holy gratitude. See the collapsed bridge as my loving protection. See the burned out fields as the preparation for a new harvest. See the shattered chrysalis as the birth of your new self. The ending was not your failure. The ending was your liberation. It was my definitive no to a lesser destiny, which has now made room for my glorious, resounding yes to your true and magnificent calling. Let us thank me together for the ending, my child, for without it, there could never have been this new beginning. You are standing on the precipice, and the ground beneath your feet is beginning to feel less like a place of execution and more like holy ground. You're beginning to see the rubble of your past not as a monument to your failure, but as the evidence of my merciful intervention. You understand now why the old road had to end. You have made a fragile peace with the closing of that chapter. But as you stand here, poised between a past that has been redeemed and a future that is still a glorious mystery, another, deeper question surfaces from your soul. It is a question born of the journey itself. My Lord, you whisper, I can see now why you ended the road here. But what about the road itself? What about the years of wandering, the painful stumbles, the seasons of feeling so utterly lost? Were you there in the dust and the confusion? Or did you simply observe my struggle from a distance and then show up at the end to close the gate? This is the question of my companionship, of my presence in the process. And the answer is a truth that I want to anchor in your heart forever. My child, I was not a distant observer of your journey, nor was I a passive cartographer who simply drew the map and wished you well. I was your secret, silent, and ever-present guide. Every step you took, every stumble you made, every confusing detour you navigated, there was an unseen, loving, and firm hand upon the small of your back, guiding you, correcting you, supporting you, and ensuring that you arrived at this precise, perfect precipice at this precise, perfect moment. Oh, you thought you were wandering. I was leading. You thought you were lost. I was steering. You felt you were alone. I was the constant, unseen pressure on your back, the whisper in the wind, the shepherd who was guiding his beloved sheep through a difficult and necessary terrain. Let me show you how my hand has been upon you all along. Do you remember? On that old, comfortable path, the subtle but persistent feelings of discontent. There were moments, even in the midst of what seemed like success or happiness, where you felt a quiet ache, a sense of, is this all there is? You often judge yourself for these feelings, calling it ingratitude or restlessness. But that discontent was not born of you. It was the gentle, initial pressure of my hand on your back. It was my loving whisper, this is good. My child, but it is not your destiny. Do not build your house here. Keep moving. There's something more for you. That holy dissatisfaction was the first sign of my guidance, the first invitation to a journey that would lead you here. Then, as the journey progressed, do you remember the frustrating detours and obstacles, the times you tried to take a shortcut, a path that looked easier and quicker, only to find it blocked by an insurmountable obstacle? The times you were sure of a direction, but a sudden, inexplicable event forced you onto a different, more difficult road. You saw these as setbacks, as signs that the world was against you, as evidence of your own bad luck. But that was my hand, no longer a gentle nudge, but a firm, corrective pressure. I saw the paths you were trying to take. I knew that the shortcut led to a hidden ravine of compromise. I knew that the easier road was a path of spiritual apathy that would have slowly starved your soul. And so, in my love, I blocked the path. I placed a boulder in your way. I arranged the frustrating circumstance that forced you to turn around. What you experienced as a frustrating no was my divine redirection. It was the firm hand of a loving father on the shoulder of a child about to wander into traffic. You were cursing the very hand that was saving you, grumbling at the detours that were, in fact, my divine route, ensuring you stayed on the one true path that led to this glorious new beginning. And in the most painful moments of the journey, in the seasons of betrayal, of failure, of acute loss, you felt you were in a free fall. You felt you were collapsing under the weight of your own sorrow. But you did not completely collapse. You did not shatter. Do you know why? Because in those moments, my unseen hand was there, supporting you, holding you up when your heart was breaking. My hand was the invisible brace around your spirit, keeping it from utterly shattering. When you fell to your knees in exhaustion, my hand was beneath your arms, giving you the strength to get up one more time. You have looked back at those times and thought, I don't know how I survived that. I will tell you how. You survived because you were not standing on your own. You were leaning on the everlasting arms of your God. Your endurance was not a testament to your own strength, but to the strength of the one who was secretly holding you. You felt the full weight of your grief, but you did not feel the full weight of my hand upholding you. For my touch is often as gentle as it is powerful, and through it all, my hand was the hand of a divine weaver. You experienced your life as a series of disconnected, often chaotic events, a painful childhood here, a joyful season there, a confusing relationship, a surprising failure. It all felt random, like a pile of mismatched, tangled threads. But I, the master weaver, was sitting at the great loom of your life, and I saw not a tangle, but a tapestry. I was taking every thread, the bright, golden thread of your joy, the dark, indigo thread of your sorrow, the rough, gray thread of your confusion, even the scarlet thread of your sin, and I was weaving them together. My hand was moving with skill and purpose, creating a narrative, a story that was always leading to the single, culminating point of transition. The person who betrayed you was a thread that taught you the meaning of true loyalty. The failure you endured was a thread that wove humility and wisdom into your character. Every single event was a thread I was using, Nothing was wasted. Your life is not a random collection of accidents. It is a divinely woven story, and the consistent pressure you have felt has been the movement of my hand, faithfully working the shuttle back and forth, weaving your glorious destiny. Why was my guidance so often hidden? Why was my hand so often unseen? I could have made it obvious. I could have sent a pillar of fire to lead you, but I did not for several reasons. First, I had to build your faith. If you could always see my hand, you would be walking by sight. You would become a passive follower, dependent on external signs. By hiding my hand, I forced you to develop your own spiritual senses. I forced you to learn to listen for my whisper, to trust my character even when you could not see my actions. I was training you to walk, not just to be carried. The hiddenness of my guidance was my faith in you, my belief that you could learn to navigate by the inner compass of my spirit. Second, the hiddenness of my guidance was a divine strategy to outwit the enemy. The accuser of your soul saw you as you saw yourself, a confused, lost sheep, wandering aimlessly. He did not see my hand on your back. He did not understand the divine narrative I was writing. And so, his attacks were often misplaced. He would set a trap on a path I had no intention of letting you walk down. He would expend his energy fighting a battle in a place I was already leading you away from. My secret guidance was a form of holy camouflage, a divine stealth that kept you moving toward your destiny under the enemy's very nose. And finally, I guided you this way to ensure the perfection of the timing and the location. You have not arrived here at this precipice by accident. You have not arrived a moment too soon or a moment too late. You have arrived at the exact divinely appointed hour with the precise collection of experiences, lessons, and wisdom you would need to be perfectly prepared for the new land that awaits you. Had you arrived a year earlier, you would have lacked the maturity to handle the blessings of this new season. Had you arrived a year later, you would have missed the window of opportunity I have prepared. My unseen hand has been the divine clock setter, the celestial navigator, ensuring that your entire life's journey has culminated in this perfect, pregnant, and holy moment. So I invite you now to a new kind of remembering. Look back at the road that has brought you here, but look with new eyes. Look for my fingerprints. Look for the evidence of my unseen hand. See that frustrating detour not as a setback, but as my hand steering you. See that moment of profound discontent, not as your own restlessness, but as a gentle nudge of my hand. See your own survival through an impossible trial, not as your own strength, but as the proof of my hand supporting you. See the strange coherence of your life story, how even the painful parts served a purpose. As the evidence of my hand, weaving it all together, you were never alone. You were never lost. You have been on a guided pilgrimage from the very beginning. And the guide who has so faithfully led you to this precipice is the same guide who is now standing beside you, preparing to lead you into the new land. Trust the hand that has brought you this far, for the same hand that closed the door behind you is the very hand that is about to open the world before you. You are standing on the precipice of my promise, And you understand now that your journey here was not an accident, but a divinely guided appointment. The unseen hand on your back has led you faithfully through valleys of sorrow and along treacherous ridges to this exact location at this exact time. Your spirit is beginning to settle. The chaos of the past is beginning to resolve into a coherent story of my guidance. But an appointment must have a purpose. To what end have I led you to this high, windy, and terrifyingly beautiful edge of your old world? Why have I allowed the old road to crumble away behind you? Why have I positioned you here, with nothing before you but a vast and seemingly empty expanse? You have looked back and found meaning. You have looked inward and found my presence. But now, the great and final movement of this moment is upon you. I have brought you here not to understand your past, but to behold your future. You have spent enough time looking back at the ruins of the road you have lost. Its lessons have been learned. You have spent enough time looking down into the chasm of your grief. Its depths have been honored. The time for retrospection and introspection is now giving way to a time of vision and revelation. So listen to the voice of your Maker, your guide, who is standing here beside you. Lift your eyes. My child, lift your eyes. I know the vertigo of fear that tries to pull your gaze downward. I know the magnetic pull of grief that tries to keep your gaze fixed on the past. But I, your Lord, am commanding a new direction for your focus. With all the love and authority of heaven, I say to you again, lift your eyes. Look out. Look forward. See what I see. As you obey, as you slowly, hesitantly lift your gaze from the terrifying drop below to the horizon before you, something miraculous begins to happen. The thick, gray mists of your sorrow and your fear, which have obscured your view for so long, are beginning to part. A wind of my spirit is blowing them away. And the sun, the great and glorious sun of my new purpose for you, is beginning to rise over the edge of the world, flooding the landscape before you with a golden, breathtaking light. And you see that you are not staring into an empty void at all. You are staring at a new world, a new land, a new beginning that was simply veiled in the midst of your own pain. But now, the dawn has come, and I am here to give you the tour of your new inheritance. I am here to show you the view from the precipice. Look out, my beloved, where your old road was a narrow, winding path confined within a deep valley. I am showing you a vast and expansive land of new purpose. See those mountains in the distance, their peaks touching the very heavens. Those are the mountains of your new calling, the high places of purpose and significance that you can never have even imagined from your low-lying path. Each peak is a new assignment, a new opportunity to use your unique, God-given design to bring my glory to the earth. The air is clearer up there. The view is wider. Yes, the climb will be challenging, but I will be your strength, and the view from the summit will be worth every step. You have been living in the valleys. I'm calling you to the mountains. Now, let your eyes follow the light as it glints upon the water. Where your old land was often a place of drought, of spiritual dryness and striving, this new land is well watered. See the great, winding rivers of my grace and provision that flow through it. This is a land that is not dependent on your own frantic efforts to dig wells. It is a land that is fed by the ever-flowing, inexhaustible river of my own spirit. In this new season, you will learn to live by the river. You will learn what it is to draw deeply from a supply that is not your own. You will experience a new ease, a supernatural flow of the resources you need, the wisdom, the strength, the finances, the favor. You will stop trying to force things to happen, and you will learn to move with the current of my spirit. You are leaving the desert of striving and entering the riverlands of my grace. Look now at the great, fertile plains that stretch between the mountains and the rivers. These are the fields of your fruitfulness. Your old path may have been barren. You may have labored for years with a little to show for it. You have sown in tears, and you have not yet seen your harvest. But look at this new land. The soil is rich and dark, pregnant with possibility. This is a season where I will take every seed you have ever sown in faithfulness, every prayer, every act of kindness, every tear of intercession, and I will plant it in this fertile ground. And the harvest, my child, will be astonishing. Your life, which you thought was barren, is about to explode with fruitfulness. You will see a harvest of joy, of restored relationships, of lives touched and changed through you. A harvest so abundant that you will know, without a doubt, that it is the supernatural work of my hand. You are stepping out of a season of famine and into a season of abundant harvest. And do you see, in the distance, nestled on the curve of the river, the warm, glowing lights of a city that is the city of your new community? The journey to this precipice was, at times, a lonely one. You have felt misunderstood, isolated, and on your own. But I have not called you to live out this new beginning in solitude. Even now, I have been building a city for you. I have been gathering your people, a people who will understand your heart, who will champion your calling, who will celebrate your unique design. This is a city of authentic, life-giving, and holy relationships. The season of your lonely wandering is over. The season of your joyful belonging is at hand. You are about to find your tribe. My child, you must understand this. This magnificent new world that you are seeing is not a cruel mirage. It is not a fantasy you have concocted to soothe your grief. This is a divine reality that I, the creator of all worlds, have been preparing for you. I am not the God of wishful thinking. I am the God of new creations. And this is the new thing that I'm doing in your life. And you must also understand that this view, this glorious revelation of your future, was only possible from this precipice. Had you stayed on your old, comfortable road down in the valley, you would have lived and died without ever knowing these mountains, these rivers, these fields, this city even existed. The pain of your journey, the grief of your ending, the terror of this cliff's edge, it was all the necessary price of admission to this view. I had to bring you up high. I had to bring you to the very end of your old world so that you could finally see the beginning of your new one. This precipice was not my punishment of you. It was my promotion of you. It was the gift of a new and higher perspective. I know that your heart is torn. A part of you is captivated by this new vision, but another part is still terrified of the empty space between where you stand and where you need to go. Do not be afraid. We are not yet speaking of the journey. We're only speaking of the destination. I am not asking you to leap. I am not asking you to fly. I am simply asking you to look, to behold, to allow the beauty of what I am showing you to recalibrate your heart. Let the vision of this new beginning be the healing balm for the wounds of your ending. Let the hope of this new land be the antidote to the fear of the fall. The great lie of the enemy is that the unknown is always a thing to be feared. I'm showing you today that the unknown is the place where my greatest works are done, where my most beautiful worlds are revealed. So stand here with me, your guide, your companion, your king. Let us watch the sun climb higher in the sky. Let its light and its warmth fall upon your face. Feel the old chill of fear begin to recede. Feel the new warmth of hope begin to grow. Your perspective has been forever altered. You have stood at the end of everything, and you have discovered that it is, in fact, the beginning of all things. The old map is gone, but a new world has been revealed. The story is not over. My beloved, the true story is just about to begin. You're standing on the precipice with me. And the light of a new day, the dawn of a new beginning, is warming your face. The vision of the new land, its mountains of purpose, its rivers of grace, its fields of fruitfulness has captivated your heart and planted a seed of impossible hope in your spirit. The terror of the precipice is beginning to give way to a sense of wonder. The view is magnificent. The promise is breathtaking. But as the initial awe begins to settle, a new and very practical fear takes its place. You look from the beauty of the distant shore to the vast, empty chasm that lies between where you stand and where I am calling you to be, and your heart constricts. The vision is beautiful, my Lord, but how do I get there? There's no bridge. There's no path. There's nothing but empty air. You are showing me a paradise, but you have led me to the edge of a cliff. To move forward is to step into nothing. It is to fall. It is to die, my beloved child. This is the sacred and terrifying moment of transition that every one of my chosen ones must face. It is the moment where vision must become action. It is the moment where belief must become trust. It is the moment where you are called to take the first step of faith. And you are right, from your perspective. You see nothing but a void, but you're seeing with your natural eyes, which can only perceive what is tangible. I am asking you now to see with the eyes of your spirit, for what you perceive as empty air is, in fact, filled with the invisible, solid substance of my promise. The chasm is not empty. It is spanned by a bridge made of my own faithfulness. You cannot see it yet, not with your eyes. You can only discover it with your feet. The ground of my faithfulness will appear beneath you in the very moment you have the courage to place your weight upon it. This is the first step. It is not a blind leap into a void. It is a deliberate, conscious, and trust-filled step onto a foundation that is more real and more solid than the rock on which you currently stand. It is the moment you transfer your trust from the memory of what is seen, the solid but crumbling rock of your past, to the reality of what is unseen, the eternal, unshakable rock of who I am for you. But I know this step is not easy. It is perhaps the most difficult step you will ever take. So let us first be honest about the things that are holding you back. The anchors of fear that are keeping you frozen on this ledge. First, you are held back by the grip of the past. Even though the old road is a ruin, it is a familiar ruin. Your grief, as painful as it is, has become a known companion. You have learned the muscle memory of your sorrow. To step forward means you must finally let go of what was. It means you must turn your back on the life you knew, on the identity you had. It feels like a betrayal of your own history. It feels like the second death of your old dream. And so you cling to the edge, your fingers digging into the dust of what is gone, because the pain of letting go feels greater than the fear of staying put. You are also held back by the demand for a detailed map. Your logical, fearful mind wants guarantees. It wants to see the whole bridge before it will allow your foot to take the first step. It wants a 5-point plan, a 10-year projection, a signed and notarized contract from me that guarantees a safe and successful passage. It wants to walk by sight, not by faith, and because I so rarely work in that way. Your mind declares the journey to be too reckless, too foolish, too dangerous. The demand for certainty is a sophisticated form of fear, and it will keep you paralyzed on the precipice for a lifetime if you allow it. And you're held back by the paralysis of what if. This is the subtle poison of doubt. What if I step and fall? What if I'm hearing you wrong? What if this vision is just my own wishful thinking? What if I take this step and make a fool of myself? What if I'm not ready, not strong enough, not good enough? These questions spin in your mind, creating a vortex of anxiety that makes it impossible to move. My child, we must address these anchors before you can be free to take your step. And we will do it not by arguing with them, but by gently and deliberately releasing them. The first part of your step forward is actually an act of letting go of what is behind. You cannot step into the new while your hands are still desperately clinging to the old. So, I invite you now into a conscious, holy act of release. I want you to open your hands, physically, right now. Open your palms, and I want you to mentally place into those hands all that you are grieving. Place the old identity in your hands. Place the unanswered questions in your hands. Place the regrets, the sorrows, the what might have beens. And now, with a deep breath, I want you to turn your hands over and release them into the chasm. Let them fall. Let them go. This is not an act of forgetting. It is an act of entrusting. You are not discarding your past. You are placing it into my hands for safekeeping and for redemption. You are declaring that you will no longer allow your past to be the anchor that holds you from your future. You must release what is dead to make room for what is being born. This act of release is the essential first half of your first step. Now that your hands are empty, you are ready for the second half. You must trust the unseen bridge. You must believe that when you take a step, something will be there to meet your foot. How can you believe this? By remembering. You must remember the unseen hand that guided you here. You must remember the divine weaver who has been turning even the ugliest threads of your life into a beautiful pattern. The God who is so faithful to you in your past is the same God who is beckoning you into your future. His character is the guarantee that the bridge is real. I am not asking you to trust in a vague concept or a religious formula. I am asking you to trust in me. I am the bridge. My very presence is the path across the chasm. Every step you take in faith, you are not stepping onto a thing. You are stepping onto me, and I will not let you fall. And how do you do this? How do you overcome the vertigo of fear? You must practice the discipline of shifting your focus from your feet to my face. Fear always wants you to look down. It wants you to fixate on the chasm, on the potential for falling, on the emptiness. Faith, on the other hand, always invites you to look up, to look forward, to fix your gaze on the destination, and more importantly, on the one who is calling you to it. I am standing on the other side of this first step, and my arms are open to you. My face is full of love and encouragement. I am your destination. I am your prize. The secret to this journey is to become so captivated by the beauty of the one who is calling you that you forget to be afraid of the space in between. Do not look down. My child, look at me. Keep your eyes on me. As long as you are looking at me, the fear of the fall will lose its power. And finally, you must understand that I'm not asking you for a massive, heroic, reckless leap. That is a romantic and terrifying image. My way is gentler. I am simply asking you for one small step. The journey into your new land is not a single leap. It is a journey of 1,000 steps, and it begins with just one. And that first step is often much smaller and more ordinary than you imagine. It may be the step of making one phone call you have been afraid to make. It may be the step of writing the first sentence of the book I have called you to write. It may be the step of finally, truly forgiving the person you thought you could never forgive. It may be the simple step of getting out of bed in the morning and declaring, today, I will live in the new, not the old. Ask me, Father, what is my first step? And I will show you. It will be something small, something manageable, something that is right in front of you. Do not be overwhelmed by the thought of crossing the entire canyon. Your only responsibility is to take the next step. I will take care of the one after that. And what happens when you take that step? What is the feeling of faith in action? The moment you commit, the moment you lean forward and begin to lift your foot from the solid ground of the known, a miracle occurs. The very instant your weight begins to transfer, the invisible plank of the bridge will materialize beneath your foot. You will feel solid ground where a moment before there was only air. This is the glorious, heart-stopping dynamic of a life of faith. The provision does not appear before you step. It appears as you step. I do not show you the whole bridge. I show you only enough light for the step you're on. And with each step you take, the next part of the path will be illuminated. This is how I build your trust. This is how I keep you close to me. So here we are, my beloved. You stand at the edge. The past has been released. The vision of the future is before you. The fear is real, but so is my presence, and so is my promise. I am your father, and I am holding out my hands to you, just as a father does for his toddler who is learning to walk. The space between us may seem vast and terrifying to you, But to me, it is nothing. I am right here. The bridge is secure. My arms are strong. All you have to do is lift your foot and place it in front of the other. Do not think. Do not analyze. Just trust. Take the step. My child, I will catch you. I promise. You have taken the step with a heart pounding with a mixture of terror and trust. You lifted your foot from the solid, familiar rock of your past, and you placed it into the seeming void of your future. And in that breathtaking, holy instant, the solid ground of my faithfulness rose up to meet you. The first plank of the invisible bridge materialized beneath your feet. You did not fall. You were held. You are standing now, no longer on the precipice, but on the very threshold of your new beginning. Take a deep breath. Feel the new ground beneath you. It feels different, does it not? The very air in this new land is different. It is charged with possibility. It is shimmering with a light you have never seen before. Behind you, the old, gray world of your past is receding. Before you, the vast, colorful landscape of your future stretches out to a horizon you cannot yet see. You have done the impossible. You have stepped across the chasm. But I know the feeling that now begins to dawn in your heart. You have made it to the shore of the new land. But you are a stranger here. The customs are unfamiliar. The language is unknown. The laws that govern this new territory are not the same as the laws of the old country you have just left behind. And so you stand, a little bewildered, a little overwhelmed. And you ask, my Lord, my guide, I am here, but how do I walk in this new land? How do I live in this new beginning? This is a question of citizenship, of learning to live as a native in the kingdom to which you have just immigrated. For your new beginning is not just a change of scenery, it is a change of system. It operates on a completely different set of principles, a different spiritual physics. And the great work of this next season of your life is to unlearn the harsh, burdensome laws of your old land and to learn the joyful, liberating ways of the new. Let us speak of these new laws, this new way of living, by contrasting it with the old. In the old land you have left behind, the fundamental law was the law of striving. Progress was made through sheer effort, through willpower, through the frantic, anxious energy of your own works. Your value was measured by your productivity. Your motto was, if it is to be, it is up to me. You lived in a state of constant, grinding effort, trying to force the fruit from the barren ground of your own strength. And it has left you utterly exhausted. But in this new land, you are now under the law of abiding. Here, progress is not made through striving, but through surrender. Fruitfulness does not come from the energy of your own works, but from your connection to me, the source of all life. I am the vine. You are the branch. Your one and only work in this new season is to learn to abide, to remain connected to me. It is to draw your life, your nourishment, your strength, your very being from me. The fruit will grow, not because you force it to, but as a natural, effortless byproduct of your connection to me. This is a radical shift. It means you can lay down the heavy burden of self-reliance. You can stop trying to be strong enough, smart enough, or good enough. Your new work is the work of rest. It is a practice of turning your attention to me throughout your day, of drinking deeply from my presence, of allowing my life to flow into you and through you. The world will not understand this. It will look like inactivity. But I tell you, a single day of abiding in me will produce more glorious, lasting fruit than a lifetime of striving in your own strength. Welcome to the land of effortless grace. In your old country, you lived under the crushing law of scarcity. You operated from the core belief that there was never enough. Not enough time, not enough money, not enough love, not enough opportunity. This belief forced you into a life of competition, of hoarding, of anxiety. You clung tightly to what you had, terrified that it would be taken away. You looked at the success of others as a threat, as if they had taken a piece of a limited pie that was meant for you. This scarcity mindset made your world small, gray, and fearful. But in this new land, you will now live under the glorious law of abundance. Look around you. The fields are endlessly fertile. The rivers are deep and full. This is a kingdom whose source is the infinite, inexhaustible nature of God Himself. There's no lack here. The pie is not limited. It is eternally expanding. In this new land, the way to increase is not by hoarding, but by sowing. The way to have more than you need is to give away what you have with a generous and joyful heart. This is the divine mathematics of my kingdom. The more seeds of kindness you sow, the greater your harvest of love will be. The more of your resources you give away to bless others, the more I will entrust to you. You must unlearn the fearful clenching of your old life and learn the joyful, open-handed posture of your new one. You are no longer an orphan fighting for scraps. You are a child of the King, living in the land of more than enough. And your generosity will be the proof that you truly believe it. In the old land, your guiding principle was the law of control. You felt that your safety and your success depended on your ability to manage your environment, to control outcomes, to foresee every possible problem. You lived your life clutching a detailed, color-coded map of your own making. And you were in a constant state of anxiety because life and other people refused to conform to your map. Every unexpected event, every person who did not behave as you wished, was a source of profound stress. But in this new land, you are invited to live by the law of trust. You can now take your own crumpled, inadequate map and joyfully burn it. For in this new land, you do not need a map. You have a guide, and that guide is me. Your journey through this new territory is not a pre-planned itinerary. It is a daily walk of faith with me. I will not show you the whole path. I will show you only the next step, and I will ask you to trust me, to follow my whisper, to walk with me into the glorious unknown. This will feel reckless to the part of you that is still a citizen of the old land, but it is the only way to experience the true adventure and the miraculous provision of this new kingdom. To live by the law of trust is to surrender your need to know the future and to instead fall in love with the one who holds the future. It is to exchange the heavy burden of being your own God for the light and easy yoke of following the one true God. Let go of the map. Just take my hand. Finally, in your old land, you lived under the harsh law of identity from performance. Your sense of worth rose and fell with your successes and failures. Your identity was based on what you did. You were a successful professional or a failed entrepreneur. You were a good parent or a struggling parent. You were constantly performing, constantly being judged, and constantly finding yourself wanting. But in this new land, you live by the life-giving law of identity from presence. Your value is not based on what you do. Your value is settled for all eternity the moment I spoke your name. You are my beloved child. That is your core, unchangeable identity. And in this new land, your primary work is not doing. It is being. It is learning to simply be present with me, your Father, and to let me love you. It is to let your identity be so deeply rooted in my affection for you that it is no longer shaken by your performance. And here's the beautiful secret when your being is secure. Your doing will flow from a place of grace and of freedom, not from a place of fear and striving. You will do good works not to earn my love, but as a joyful expression of the love you have already so freely received. Your identity will no longer be a fragile thing you must build for yourself, but a solid foundation upon which I will build a life of beautiful and fruitful works through you. I know this is a lot to learn. You will feel like an immigrant for a while. You will stumble. You will sometimes find yourself speaking the old language of fear, or trying to live by the defunct laws of your old country. Do not be discouraged. I am a patient teacher. My grace is the very atmosphere of this new land. Every time you fall back into the old ways, I will be right there to gently pick you up, to remind you of who and where you are now, and to set your feet back upon the path of grace. And I'm inviting you into this as a partner, as an explorer. This is not a classroom where you must passively listen to my lectures. This is a great and glorious adventure we are embarking on together. I say to you, come, let us go and explore those mountains of purpose I showed you from the precipice. Let us see what they look like up close. I say, come, I have given you a handful of seeds, the seeds of your gifts. Let us go to those fertile fields, and let us plant them together, and let us watch with wonder at the miraculous harvest I will bring. This new beginning is not a static place, but a dynamic, creative journey. It is a land waiting to be cultivated, waiting to be explored, waiting to be filled with the songs of a child who has finally come home. So embrace the identity of a citizen of this new land. Practice its ways, speak its language of faith, and walk with me, your guide, your king, your father, as we together turn the glorious promise you saw from the precipice into the live, beautiful reality of your new life. You are walking now in a new land. My beloved, you have taken the courageous first step off the precipice of your past, and have found the solid ground of my faithfulness beneath your feet. You are an immigrant in the kingdom of my grace, and you are learning its new and wondrous ways. You are unlearning the harsh laws of striving and scarcity, and are beginning to live by the liberating principles of abiding and abundance. You are a pioneer, an explorer, a settler in the territory of your new beginning. And as you walk this new path, a subtle fear may begin to creep into your heart. It is the fear of failure. But with a new and sharper edge, you think to yourself, this new beginning is so precious, so miraculous. It is my last chance. I cannot afford to mess this up. If I fail here, if I fall back into my old ways, it will all be over for good. John, you see this new beginning as a single, fragile opportunity, and the pressure to perform perfectly within it is immense. My child, you have walked out of the old land, but you have brought a piece of its cruel logic with you. The logic that says you only get one chance. The logic that says my grace is a finite resource. Today, in this final chapter of our discourse, we must utterly demolish this last stronghold of fear. I must reveal to you the ultimate nature of your journey with me. For I am not the God of a single new beginning. I am the God of glorious, unending, and perpetual new beginnings. The precipice you just crossed was not the only one you will ever face. The new land you have just entered is not the only one I have for you. A life with me is not a single, straight road to a final destination. It is a magnificent, ascending spiral, a series of glorious plateaus, each one leading to a new, higher precipice with an even more breathtaking view. The life I have called you to is a life of endless horizons, of unending invitations to something new. Let me dismantle the fear that you might mess up this new beginning. You must understand that my grace is not the one-time ticket that got you into this new land. My grace is the very atmosphere you now breathe. It is the soil beneath your feet. It is the river from which you drink. It is an infinite, ever-present reality. When you stumble here, and you will stumble, for you are still learning to walk, you do not fall out of the new land and back into the old. You simply fall onto the soft, forgiving ground of my grace. My mercy is not a one-time pardon. My mercy is new every single morning. Every sunrise in this new land is a fresh invitation to a new beginning. Yesterday's failures, yesterday's stumbles into the old ways of thinking were washed away in the sacred darkness of the night as you rested in me. Today is a clean slate. Today is a fresh page. Today, my grace is sufficient for you, anew. There is nothing you can do to exhaust my supply of new beginnings. Your capacity to fail is finite. My capacity to forgive and restore is infinite. You are not on probation here. You are home. And as you grow and mature in this new land, as you learn its ways and produce its fruit, a day will come when you will find yourself, once again, at the edge of a precipice. But this time, it will not be a place of terror. It will be a place of exhilaration, for you will have learned the language of the precipice. You will know that it is not an ending, but a promotion. After you have explored and cultivated the mountains of purpose in this current land, I will lead you to a new, higher cliff edge. And from there, I will show you a view of a land even more glorious, a calling even greater, a dimension of my love even deeper than the one you are in now. And you will look at that new vista not with the fear of the first-time traveler, but with the eager anticipation of a seasoned explorer. And you will take that next step of faith, not with a trembling heart, but with a joyful confidence, knowing that the same faithfulness that bridged the last chasm will surely bridge this one. A life with me is a journey from glory to ever-increasing glory. It is a life of continual ascent, of perpetually expanding horizons. Do not be afraid of outgrowing your current season. I have designed you to grow, and I will always have a new, vaster territory prepared for the new. Greater version of yourself that you are becoming. And where does this journey of new beginnings ultimately lead? It leads to the final, ultimate precipice, the moment of your earthly death. For years, you have viewed this as the great and terrifying end. But by the time you reach it, you will have been so thoroughly trained in the art of the precipice that you will face it with peace and even with joy. For you will know that death is simply the highest and most glorious cliff of all. And from its vantage point, you will see for the first time the shores of eternity, the ultimate new land, the homeland of your soul, and you will take that final step of faith, not into a void of nothingness, but into the waiting arms of my love. And you will find yourself in a new beginning, so magnificent that all your previous new beginnings on earth will seem like mere shadows in comparison. You will step into the new heaven and the new earth, the ultimate new creation, a land where there are no more endings, no more tears, no more sorrow, no more pain. And even there, in that state of perfection, the adventure will not cease. Your eternal life will not be a static state of being, but an endless, joyful process of new beginnings. There will be new dimensions of my character to explore, new galaxies of my creativity to discover, new depths of my love to experience. The horizon of my goodness is infinite, and our journey into it together will have no end. This, my beloved, is your destiny, not a single, fragile new beginning that you must protect with anxious effort, but a life defined by a glorious, unending sequence of my grace-filled new starts. So how shall you live now in this current, beautiful chapter? You shall live with a magnificent freedom and a holy abandon. The pressure to get it perfect is gone. This is not your last chance. It is simply your next chance. This frees you to be bold, to take risks, to try and to fail, knowing that failure is simply a learning opportunity in the school of grace. It frees you to pour yourself out completely for the love of others, knowing that I am not a finite resource. And I will always lead you to new rivers of supply. It frees you to dream big, expansive dreams, knowing that the land before you is vast and that the God who leads you is limitless. Live today in this new beginning to the fullest. Cultivate it, explore it, enjoy it, and do not be afraid of the day when you feel that old, familiar restlessness, that holy discontent, for it will simply be the sign that you are approaching the next beautiful precipice, the next glorious invitation, the next new beginning. Your life is not a short story with a single, dramatic turning point. It is a divine epic, with cliffhanger after cliffhanger, and each new chapter is more glorious than the last. And now, my pioneer, my beloved explorer, the great, expansive vista of your future can settle into a gentle, peaceful stillness in your heart. Let us rest here for a moment on this current plateau. The sun is warm, the air is sweet, there's peace in this place. You have been through so much to get here. You have walked a road of sorrow and stood on a cliff of fear. But you're here now. You are in the new. You are safe. Take a moment not to look forward or backward, but to simply be present. Be present in my love for you. Be present in the quiet miracle of this new beginning. I am so proud of you. I am proud of your courage. I am proud of your faith. I am proud of the small, terrifying step you took that has changed everything. Rest now from your journey. Let my peace be the soft grass beneath you. Let my love be the gentle breeze that cools your brow. The adventure that lies ahead is great and glorious, but it will be there tomorrow for tonight. There's only this, the quiet, loving, and completely accepting presence of your Father. I am with you. I am for you, and my grace will be sufficient for you today and for all the new beginnings to come. Rest now, my child. The future is bright, and you are secure.